Good afternoon. Let me know if you are hearing me. Good afternoon. Great. I think you're hearing me. How are you? How was math today, or is that a question that I should not ask? Oh, that's wonderful. I see math was great. All right, I'm just trying to send a message to some persons to say that the live stream is up. I see that Austin says don't ask. Sounds like it was bad, Austin. Oh no. But I've been hearing that it was not so great for a lot of persons. All right, very bad. Oh my. Hi, good afternoon, Alia, Jameson. I'm just giving the others a couple minutes before I really get into stuff. I don't know exactly how long I'll be able to stay yet, but I wanted to just help you out with some of the items that you're going to need for tomorrow. Okay? In the meantime, you can tell me where you're from. You can drop the name of your school, or you can drop the name of your country, or you can start dropping questions if you want so that I can answer them as I go through. All right, so I see Da Silva from Guyana. Nice to meet you. All right, so Guyana, Dominica. Okay, good, good. Jamaica, Guyana again. Measures to reduce coral reef degradation. All right, we're going to talk about that as well. I already have a coral reef PowerPoint up. I have a PowerPoint for, let me see. All right, let me tell you what and what I have up while we await the other persons to join. So I have the topics that have been released by CSEC. We're all seeing that on the screen at the moment. I also have the syllabus up. That is what CXC expects us to know for the exam. Then I also have map reading up. I have drainage up. We will talk about settlement. We will talk about um, land use patterns. Those are the ones that I don't have a PowerPoint for, but we will talk about them. I have coast up. I have weathering up, um, economic activities, coral reef, mangroves, tourism. So I have a PowerPoint for majority of the topics that are already there. For the ones that are not there, we will just do a discussion and then we move on from there. So if you have any other questions, you can let me know in the meantime. Hi, Shanique Matthews from Jamaica. Nice to have you. All right, so let us begin. Um, okay. All right, so we're going to start. Good afternoon again for the persons who are just joining. We're just going to continue. So on my screen right now, you are seeing the topics that CSEC has released. So disclaimer here before we get into the meat of things. You still need to study everything. I repeat, you still need to study every single thing for more than one reasons. One, geography topics are connected to each other. So you may see coastal environments here, but there is another question on it relating to something else that you would still need to know and still need to be able to answer. Secondly, you need to be able to do your paper one effectively. Remember that this is just paper two. Paper one will still have every single thing that is on the syllabus. Okay, so at the moment, it is asking us to look at, it is telling us that they're going to be looking at map skills, which we know already, coastal environment, coastal landforms, wave processes, weathering, erosion, that's physical and chemical to be specific. So we're not seeing biotic there, but you know that physical and chemical can still involve biotic. Types of economic activities in the Caribbean, manufacturing sector, coral reef, mangrove, tourism, specifically the cruise ship industry, sustainable management of fisheries resources. All right. So based on these things, if you are to look at the syllabus, which is on my blog page, so you can see it, you should have access to it. It's also other places on the internet, so you would have access to that. If you are to look on that syllabus, you will see the specific things that CXC wants you to know for each of these topics that are listed here. So, for example, let us say for coastal environment or coastal landform, on my screen now you should be seeing the syllabus. So I will just go down to the section that asks us about coast. Again, you have access to this, so you can use it. I tell students all the time that the objectives in the syllabus, as they are listed out, you can utilize those as your questions for practice. So how they set up the syllabus, where they tell you the objectives that they expect you to cover, you can use those same objectives as your questions that you are going to answer in an effort to revise for your exam. Sorry. So on the syllabus here, it shows us natural systems, and we are seeing coastal systems where it has the wave processes. So it tells us erosion, transportation, and deposition. It also shows us the different coastal features that they expect us to look at. So you can, if you're not, let me just write on the screen so you can see. If it is too tiny for you, you can let me know. So I can just zoom in a little more so it's bigger so you can see it clearly. So it has coastal features here. So it shows you specifically the ones that they want you to pay attention to. Sometimes as teachers, we teach other items according to the CSEC syllabus. This is what they want you to pay attention to. That's the cliff, wave cut, platform, headland, bay, cave, arc, stack, and so on. All right. This section also asks us about the coastal systems, erosion, transportation, and deposition. For coral reef, which is also on the topics that were released, the things that CSEC asked us to look at are the types of coral reef, conditions necessary for the successful formation of coral reef, importance of coral reef, and I'm going to put importance of mangrove wetlands in it because if you look at this clearly, let me just jump back to the topics for a second. Notice we have coral reef and mangroves together here. And on the syllabus, it's pretty much similar here. So it is sort of giving us a hint there. So as we talk about hints, I will go back to the topics to see, well, to share with you my take on how I believe the exam is going to be set up. Okay? If you have any questions in the meantime, you can let me know. Let me know if you're still hearing me. Let me know if you're understanding. Let me know if I'm going too fast. All right, great. So all is well. All right, good, 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 good. Great. So we know, I'm going to write this one out for you. We know that we have 4 questions coming on the paper. That's how it is. That's how it is set up. That's how it has always been. That's how it will be. We know that part, right? We know that we have 4 questions coming on the exam. We know that each question has a value of 25 marks. We also know that number 1 on the exam is going to be your map work. So we can already take this to say that this here is map work. That's our map work question. Our map work question will have the 25 marks just the same. Our map work question will have, should have the area where they are testing our skills. So you would have your six-figure grid reference question, maybe one single question that is 2 marks. You would have your maybe angular bearing or a compass direction question. You can have that as well. Or you may have a gradient question. You may have those smaller map work skills. So you will have those. However, towards the final section of your map work question, you would have where they ask you to explain something. So this is it. They're going to ask you to look at your map and describe settlement pattern or describe the drainage on the map or describe the land use pattern as well. So they can ask you any of these that they have stated here. The excellent thing about this is that there are several other things that they could have been asking. They could have been asking about communication, which is also on the syllabus. They could have been asking about other things. So they actually told you that they'll ask about settlement, they'll ask about drainage, they'll ask about land use patterns. Land use patterns is usually connected to settlement. So how people settle is determined, majority of the times, it is determined by the relief of the land, how high the land is, how low the land is, and so on. And the use of the land also includes where people choose to settle, where people choose to live. So land use really means how do people use the land? All you need to do, you get the map, look at the map, and look to see what the land is being used for. Tell me some of the things that land is normally used for, general things. What would land be used for? On any maps that you've seen already, even if for some reason you've never seen any map at all, tell me, based on where you live, based on what you know about the world, what is land used for? And do not forget the land that is left alone that is still in use for something. So I'm seeing agriculture. Yes, land is used for agriculture. So you can look at your map right away, look to see, is there any cultivation? Am I seeing any large green area? If I'm seeing any cultivation, I can look in my key to see what type of cultivation is it. Sometimes in my key, it will tell me that, all right, this is plantation and they are growing coconuts or they are growing palm trees. They will tell you things like that in the key. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens sometimes. So especially if it is a plantation type agriculture that is taking place, they will show you what it is in the key. So you get in your map, you look at the map to see what the land is being used for. So let us say we see some agriculture taking place, but in other areas, as B767 says, you see some infrastructure as well. So you see buildings, you see where persons have settled. You see how it come back to settlement? You would see on the map which area is used for settlement. Usually, people would use the coastline for settlement, especially in the Caribbean. It's a Caribbean map that you're going to get, but it doesn't mean that you will actually be seeing the coastline on the map. So people would usually use the coastline for more than one reason: connections to the world, as well as the fact that that piece of land there is usually flat or gently sloping. So people will settle in that area that has that gently sloping land. That is what that land is also being used for. Settlement also, you may realize that the settlement may be along a railroad, along a major roadway. It may be along a waterway. It may also be clustered in an area, which would cause that area, one. All right, what is the last thing that you heard? I'm just realizing that you're not hearing me. Tell me the last thing that you heard. Thank you, Nehal. Tell me the last thing that you heard, and I'll pick up from there. Or you don't remember. About settlement patterns. All right, good, 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 good. So there are three types of settlement patterns. Did you hear me ask for someone to tell me those? I mentioned them in sentences, but I'm not sure if we know what they are. Do we know the settlement patterns? So Amelia says, I spoke about it being near waterways. So we can have it along waterways, along railways, along roads. What would that settlement pattern be called? Or we can have the settlement being very close together, clustered in one area. What would that type of settlement be called? Or I could have my settlement being scattered all over my area, all over my country, all over my map. What would that type of settlement be called? All right, so I'm seeing Milan saying linear. That is for the one that is in a straight line. It is usually along a roadway. So the person settle along the roadway or they settle along some other form of communication channel like they may settle along the railway, roadway, and so on. Joanne says dispersed. Another name for dispersed is scattered. So that would have been the one where we have our settlement being scattered all over the map, so they are far apart. Or we have nucleated. That's what Tivadi says. So nucleated. Nucleated means that they are tightly packed, they're clustered together, right? So those are our three types of settlement. Now, when they ask you to describe settlement, and I realize I'm going all over the place, there's just so much to say. So, when they ask you to describe settlement of an area, number one, you're going to look for the settlement pattern that you see, the main settlement pattern that you see. You're going to look for the settlement pattern and you are going to tell them what the settlement pattern is. You can say why you believe it is that settlement pattern. So the same thing that we just said, you can explain that the settlement takes place along a roadway, or you can say that the settlement is clustered in the town of wherever. So you can write the name of the town. This is your opportunity to display your knowledge of geography in your exam. This is your opportunity to use up the knowledge. Remember that a part of the mark scheme or a part of what you are marked for, what you will see on your exam paper, on your results paper when you get it back, there is a section for use of knowledge. So they want to see how you use up your geography knowledge. So this is an opportunity for you to do so as well. So you talk about the settlement that you see, explain why you see that settlement there. All right, depending on the question that they ask you. So they may not necessarily ask you to describe the settlement. They can ask you to identify an area on the map where linear settlement is present. Or they can ask you to look at a particular area. So they can give you the four-figure grid reference for an area, and then they can ask you what type of settlement is located in this area. So it can be anything relating to that they're going to ask you on the exam, right? For drainage, there is a video on the channel already about drainage patterns. So you can watch that in your own time. There is also a map work. I don't remember what it is called, like a map work crash course or something that is already on the channel. So you can binge watch that as well, which will take you through the other smaller sections of the map of the map syllabus and help you to just refresh your memory about what is going to be expected. Now for drainage. Drainage is really asking you how the water runs off the land. It's as simple as that. How does the water run off the land? Just like that. Does the water run off the land in a particular pattern? If so, what is the pattern? Does the water run off the land using many, many tributaries? Or is there only one main river that you can identify? If so, tell me the name of that main river. So, all of these questions that I am asking you now, those are just prompts. So, these are the things that you would ask yourself when you get that paper if they ask you to describe drainage. How is this water running off the land? Is it running off in a circular pattern? Is there a high point, but the water runs outwards, like spokes on a bicycle wheel? What kind of pattern would that be? Is it that the water runs off the land in a rectangular pattern? If so, what kind of pattern would that be? What would have been that particular drainage pattern? If the water is running off the land in many tributaries that join the main river, and it is shaped like a tree, what kind of pattern is that? Right? So these are the things that you're going to ask yourself if they ask you to describe drainage. Good job, Tivani. Good job. All right. So after you tell them what drainage pattern it is, then you are going to tell them an approximation of how many tributaries you see. So you can say that the main pattern, remember if you put in main, because there may be different patterns on the map. So the main pattern that is on the map is, and you state whatever it is. Also, then you can say that there are approximately, let me say like 60, depending, there are approximately 60 tributaries joining the main river. You can tell me the main river on the map is, and you tell me the name of that particular river. Also, what you want to do when you're describing drainage, you want to tell me if there is good drainage or if there is poor drainage. Now, how do you determine that? If there is very good drainage, remember that drainage means how the water runs off the land. Yes? If there is good drainage, that means you can see where the water is running in tributaries and you see where it is running off, running off, running off. That is good drainage. If you have several tributaries as well, that is good drainage. It means that the water is doing what it is supposed to be doing. It is running off the land. Now, if you have several swampy areas, we all know what swamps are, right? If we have several swampy areas, guys, you let me feel like I'm talking to myself. Yeah. So if you have a question, ask me. If I'm saying something that's not clear enough, ask me just the same. If something is kind of stressing your brain a little, ask me just the same so I can just assist you. All right. Again, remember that I said I don't know how long I'll be on. So if you have a question, just drop it. All right. So yes, steep gradient normally gives us good drainage because it's easier for the water to run off the land as well. Now, how do I tell if I have poor drainage? If I'm seeing a lot of swamps, that means my water is settling on the land. It not run off. It not going anywhere. It is settled. My drainage is not very good. All right. If I am seeing that I have a lot of ponds all over the place, my ponds are all over the place, and I'm just seeing lots of water settling everywhere, then that tells me that I don't have good drainage either. Hi, Jordan. There are several past papers on the channel. So if you want, you can jump off this live and you can go and watch those past papers. There is a list. I call it geography list, I believe. So you can go on that and watch all of the ones that you want to watch. All right, Jordan, I hope that helps. So we can determine if it's poor drainage or if it is good drainage, and you state that as well. For land use, we talk about land use already. We're talking about how the land is being used. Is it that you realize that the lower land is used for agriculture? Or is it that you realize that the all of the highland is used for forestry, but all of the lowland is used for settlement? Is it that you realize things like that. That's what you're going to look for. Patterns in how the land is being used. That is exactly what they're asking for. So do we have any questions relating to those three? If not, let me know so I can just explain something else for you relating to the topics that CSEC has put out. More specific about map skills. I don't know what you mean. Do you mean what they are asking about when they say map skills? Yes, Lornique, there is a video that does drainage patterns. It tells you specifically what the drainage patterns are. It shows you the maps, examples of maps and what the pattern will look like on an actual map. So you can go and watch that as well. You can type in NatCan drainage patterns. You'll find it. Or somebody else can just, if you find that video, you can just drop that link in the chat as well so that Lornie can get it. I do want all of you to get a grade 1. Hi, Cherise. I do want all of you to get a grade 1. Cherise, I believe you got a whole list about what and what you should write if they ask you to describe settlement. I'm gonna go over number 6. I'm still at number 1, right? I'm still at number 1. So let me just answer that question about the map skills. Let me jump on the syllabus for a second. Let me just go back up to map skills there so you can see what they are asking for. I think the person asking about the map skills probably joined a little late. So let me tell you another thing. There is already a crash course. Tash Marie, don't be stressed out, my darling. There is already a crash course on the channel that does map work only. It's called Map Work Crash Course. You can go and watch that. I think it was a live stream that I did as well, but I went through all of it for the students. All right, so you should now be seeing on my screen what CSEC is asking for relating to maps, right? So we have essential elements of a map. We know that already. We know that already with the title and the key and so on, right? We have grid references, 4-figure grid reference, 6-figure grid reference. If you do not know 4-figure grid reference or 6-figure grid reference, there is a video on the channel as well. Super easy. Compass direction, same thing. Remember that these questions in your map work section, it might just be one of them. So you will get like one 6-figure grid reference. That's 2 marks, right? Then you will get one compass direction question. That's another 2 marks. Maybe you'll get an angular bearing question. That's the one where you use your protractor. So remember to take your protractor to the exam with you. Also, measuring straight and curved line distances. So they may ask you to measure the straight line distance from one place to the next place. Just get a strip of paper and mark off where it starts, mark off where it stops, put it on your scale and write down the measurement. Sometimes they may tell you what they want the answer in. So they may tell you write it in the nearest meters. They may tell you give your answer in kilometers. From the syllabus, it says to the nearest meters. Again, for the people who joined late, if you don't have the syllabus, then you can look on the blog, you will see it, or you can just Google it, you will find it. Yes, you can take your string. If it is string that you're using to measure, take your string. If it is strip of paper that you're gonna use, the invigilator will give that to you. Just raise your hand and ask for it. All right. So these are the map skills that they are referring to. Now, the part that we just explained in detail is at the bottom here. So where they ask about, see they have relief, they ask about drainage. So drainage pattern, density, direction of flow, telling the direction that the river is flowing in, if it is only one or if it's just a few, the quality of the drainage, if it is good or if it is poor, the shape and the size of the channel. Of course, they don't expect you to give the exact size of the channel. You can also mention any river features that you see. If you see any river features, you can mention them as well. One of the easiest river features that you can look for is meanders. Easy, easy. Just look for the river going like this, right? So you can see that anywhere. And then now, to show that you're knowledgeable about what you're doing, you can just say that a meander is present at, and you give the four-figure grid reference that the meander is in, so you look well nice and well smart. So it shows that you know what you are doing. All right. For land use, you can talk about the vegetation that is there, agriculture, any industry that you see. We spoke about that already, and someone mentioned tourism. You can talk about the transport networks. You can talk about the form of settlement. Remember, I mentioned that settlement is a lot of times linked with land use. So you can mention that as well. For the syllabus, Ronaldo, it's on the blog. That's natkeneducation.blogspot.com. Just type in syllabus and it will come up. You can download it and keep it for yourself or go through it. If you want to just Google it, just Google it. You will find the syllabus there. It's very, very easy to find. All right. So for the person that asked, that is what they are asking for relating to the map skills. Yes, Joanne, the document is on the blog. This one as well. They ask about the association with land use patterns and drainage. So we already kind of just jumped on that just a little bit when we spoke about how the land is used versus the drainage. So if we can see a lot of swampy areas, we know that it will be left like that. It will not necessarily be used for other things. Or if it's a country that farms rice or things like that, that needs that water, they need the rice paddy, we may notice that agriculture takes place in an area that has poor drainage. So it's going to be specific to the map that you are working with. You just have to look at what is there. All right. So that is for the person that asked about the map skills. Now back to this page of the topics that was released. Let me show you something now. So we already know for the persons that just joined, I have that one there because we are saying that we already know that we have 4 questions. We know that we have 4 questions on the exam. And we know that those 4 questions are valued at 25 marks each. So that will give me my 100 marks that is going to be on my paper. That's my full paper right there. 100 marks on my paper, right? So number 1, we know that is map work. Number 2 is from natural systems. Number 2 is from natural systems. That's on the paper. So when we look at these, we can see the ones that are number 2. So your number 2 question will be including 2, 3, 4, and number 5. So this is your number 2 question. These are the things that are going to be in your number 2 question. That is from natural systems, right? Then now, number 3 question would have been from human systems. So we know how the paper set up already. We just can look at these now and help us to figure the rest of things out. Yeah? So number 3, which is going to be our human systems, would have these topics. 6 and 7 would have given us number 3 on the paper. Guys, this is my interpretation. Let me say that loud, loud, loud. This is my personal interpretation. I don't know for sure, but based on my knowledge of geography, based on my knowledge of the paper, based on my knowledge of the structure, this is what I am expecting. So if it was me doing it, like my students who are doing it, like my personal students who are doing it, this is what I tell them, right? So this is what I am expecting on the paper. It can be different, but based on my knowledge, this is what I'm expecting. Then our final question, number 4. Number 4 is usually human environment systems. That's the topic, that's the module in the syllabus. So human environment systems would have a mixture of the natural systems plus human geography. So that is number 4 right here. So, okay. So let me just run through that again. Let me know in the comments if you understand, if you're following me. I feel like this right here is like a money tip. This is super important. That is my take on it. So let me just run through again. Yeah. So we know already that we will have 4 questions on the paper. We know that. We know that each question has 25 marks. We know that too. So we also know that our syllabus is split up into 4. Right? So the syllabus is split up into 4. One of them is map work, one of them is natural system, one of them is human system, the next one is human environment system. So we know that one question from each section. So based on that, when you look at this now, map skills that are number 1. Coastal environment, coastal landform, wave processes, and weathering and erosion, that is all inside natural system. So that means those things coming together, that means that is one question. Then now you have types of economic activities, manufacturing, that is human systems. Those are in one question. Coral reef, mangrove, tourism, sustainable management of fisheries, that is also in one question. So this is how your paper is going to be set up. I don't think it can be any clearer than this for you. As I told the persons who joined early, as I told the persons who joined very early, geography is a subject where the topics are all interconnected. So it is very, very, very possible that something can come on the exam that is not right here. So, and as I told the persons that joined early, study everything. You still need to study everything for several different reasons. For the fact that they're connected and something can just pop up. Also for the fact that you still have paper 1 to do, and paper 1 will cover everything. This release of topics is only for paper 2. All right. If you have a question about this setup, let me know, because I am going to move from here. Yes, Louis, you need to study everything. We don't know what is going to drop in from anywhere. You still need to study everything for paper 1, but based on my knowledge, I feel like this is the setup. Okay? I feel like this is the setup. So let me show you something else now to kind of break it down a little bit for you. So we said coral reef. Which one somebody said nobody did in their class? 10 and 11. All right. We said, guys, am I stressing you out? Why are the comments looking like this? Am I stressing you out? Tomorrow is paper 2. So this is why you need this for paper 2 tomorrow. You have maybe another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks for paper 1. So you can just work that for the rest of the time. But for tomorrow, you need to get these ready. Okay? So you're gonna use this that CSEC gave you, the topics, and then you're gonna connect that to the syllabus. All right. So most people saying number 9, 10, 11. So let me show you something to narrow it down for you. Yes, Jax, I love the positivity. We've got this. Don't worry. Relax, Jordan. You'll be fine. All right. So let me look at the syllabus for a second. So the part about the coral reef, hold on, it went blank. I'm moving it too fast. It's blank a little, but you'll see it eventually. Here you go. I'd shown it to the persons who were early. All right. Who that's the what are mangroves? All right. So look again at number 4. So number 4 question says that they're gonna expect or they're gonna send coral reef, mangroves, tourism, specifically cruise ship industry, and sustainable management of resources, right? Right here in the syllabus, number 24, 25, 26, and 27 on the syllabus is linking all of those little things that CSEC just tell you that they're gonna send. Like this is a real hint. Okay? This is a real hint. So take up your textbook, look, use the syllabus, download the syllabus, use it for this little section here, so because it's right here your number 4 question is coming from. Make sure tomorrow you tell me how it goes after your exam. Let me know. I won't get to see the paper so quickly. I won't get to see the paper for a while, as a matter of fact. So ensure that when you come out of the exam tomorrow, you just drop me a message. You have my Instagram, I believe. It's Geo with Miss G, or it's Natken Educational Services on IG. You can drop me a message, or you can just comment on my YouTube. So let me know how the paper goes. All right. So as I'm saying now, this is my take on it. So types of coral reef, conditions necessary for the formation of coral reef, importance of coral reef. Which file are you asking for? I can't pronounce your name. Which file are you asking for? The link to the syllabus? Does anyone on here have my geography question bank? Did anyone on here buy that book? If you did, you should be okay. All right, the syllabus is right here. Okay, the syllabus is right there. Just Google it and download it. That's it, right there. So you can download the syllabus. So if any of you bought my geography question bank, it has nobody yet. I think somebody on here. I don't know if Milan is still here, but I remember that Milan bought that book and she had tagged me in it on IG. So if you have that book gives you past paper questions by each topic. So you see how we get coral reef as a topic now? You would have past paper questions specifically for that topic already. They give you coast. We already have past paper questions for the topic of coast. So in that book, the past paper questions are by each topic. You can get it on Instagram. No, sorry. You can get it on Amazon. Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. But in the meantime, we're gonna just try to run through as much as we can. If somebody, you can get it on Amazon. So just type in geography, I think, CSEC question bank. There it is on Amazon. All right, so that's the book, and it would give you the topics, past paper questions based on the topics, right? And Amazon allows you to look inside to see some of what is there. So it gives you question for each one of those topics. So coast, coral reef, weathering, weather and climate, and so on. Those are just for physical geography, and it would give you the rest for the other sections. All right, back to what we are doing. Right? So if I was setting the paper as a teacher now, right? As a teacher, if I was the one setting the paper, I'm going to tell you the questions that I would have put if these are the topics. All right? So, number one, I'm going to try to write it so you can see it. Let me go to another area. Well, number one, I would put let me write it over here. I'm gonna just use this section to write it. Right there where we have a little space. All right, so if I was setting the paper, right? Number one, I would ask you to name the three types of coral reef. That's the first question I would ask you. Let me make this a little thinner so I can write more. Name the three types of coral reef. You can drop your answers in the comments in the meantime. And that would have been 3 marks. Again, this is just if I was the one setting the paper as a teacher, right? Then now I would ask you, to describe maybe give me 2 conditions. Describe 2 conditions, or better yet, I would say name. Let me change that. I would say name the four conditions necessary for the formation of coral reef. You can drop your answers as well. Is it still blurry? All right. So I would say name four conditions necessary for the successful formation of coral reef. So I would give that as another 4 marks. So out of my 25 marks, 7 marks gone already. If yes, Pickering, I'm gonna post the live. Then no, if well, this wouldn't be number one, number two, and so on. It would be A, B. This would be part C now. I would ask something about um I would ask something about mangroves relating to coral reef, right? So I could ask about either threats to coral reef, or I could ask about the importance of coral reef. Importance of coral reef. I can ask you to give me like four of those, right? So that's another potential question right there. Very good. I'm seeing some of your answers in the chats. I'm seeing sufficient sunlight. What's the purpose of the sunlight? Tell me that. What's the purpose of the sunlight? I'm seeing optimum temperature, but I would not give you full marks for optimum temperature. I want to know the exact temperature that is necessary for coral reef formation. So you have to tell me the exact temperature range. And I see shallow what? Shallow water. I don't want to tell you the answers. I want to see what is going on in your brain. Somebody else telling me suitable temperature. I don't want suitable temperature. Tell me the exact temperature range. Salinity, all right. Sunlight and clean water. Somebody else telling me about suitable temperature. Warm water. Tell me the specific temperature, right? And I'm seeing some of the importance of coral reef as well. So provides habitat for marine life. Very good. Good job, guys. All right. So we know that coral reef needs warm temperature. We know that we need a shallow water up to a depth of what? Can somebody drop the depth in the chat? The water needs to be at a depth of what? And why do I need shallow water? Why do I need to have shallow waters? Um, yes, very good, Jamila. So I need to have shallow water so that my sunlight can pass through in order for photosynthesis to take place. Very good. Yes, nice job, guys. Good. So I'm seeing your responses. Good job. All right. So I need shallow water. I need the right amount of salinity because the fresh water, if there's a mixture of fresh water and the salt water, then that is not going to work. So I need to have that mixture. Nikita, were you shouting at me? Yes, I believe so. I believe it is being recorded. Should I go check? Let me check. All right. Yes, so we know the conditions necessary for the successful formation of coral reef. Importance of coral reef as well. If I was setting the paper, that is something that I would ask you. I'd probably ask you to give me 4 importance or something like that, you know. Then now for mangroves. According to the syllabus, let me jump back over to the syllabus for a second. According to the syllabus, they ask us to tell the importance of mangrove wetlands. So since we're looking at the syllabus right now, you can just look up at number 25 and it tells you the conditions that are necessary for the successful formation of coral reef. It tells you depth, salinity, temperature, turbidity, presence of beneficial algae and fish. But you need to have the specifics, which is what you would have learned in class. Then now, importance of coral reef, we're seeing coastal protection, raw material for beach, ecological and economic benefits, but you know, you can give me more based on what you learned in class, they would still be correct. Importance of mangrove wetlands. So if you notice on the syllabus, the only thing that they ask us about relating to mangrove is the importance of mangrove wetland. So then somebody add it up and tell me what it means. Max it out for me. So if they ask us on the syllabus the importance of mangrove wetland, if that's all they ask us on the syllabus, and they put the term mangrove on the release of topics, what do you think that mangrove question is going to be? Just let me see if you're thinking along the same lines that I am thinking, right? What do you think that mangrove question is going to be? Again, we're just talking about if me as a teacher, if I was the one setting the test, what is it that I would actually write? Okay, so what do you think that mangrove question would have been? Ah, Jonathan, good job, Jonathan. That is exactly what I am thinking. I am thinking they're going to drop a question that asks you to tell them the importance of mangrove. So you have it right there. So coastal protection, ecological, socioeconomic benefits. So you explain these things. Maybe they don't ask you to list them. Maybe they ask you to describe them. So ensure that this is something that you revise tonight. All right. Yes, we know that it's a habitat for marine life. We know that it provides food. We know that it protects the coastline from coastal erosion. We know that some persons use that area for fishing as well. So there are some economic benefits there. We know that it filters the water and so on. Yeah. So these are some of the importance of mangrove that you can list. So let me just hop back over to the list of topics that CSEC sent. So far, if we're building out the question, if we are the teachers and we are building out the questions, the importance of coral reef or importance of mangroves right here. So let us say that is another 4 marks. And let us go to say letter D, where they ask us about tourism relating to the cruise ship industry. Now, remember that this part of the syllabus, this question is from human environment systems. So it is the entire section of the syllabus is asking about how humans affect these different things that are natural in our environment. So really, it's looking at how the cruise ship industry affect either coral reef or either coral reef ecosystem or aquatic ecosystem or marine ecosystem or something like that. If I am setting the paper, that's what I would put. Describe how the cruise ship industry affects the coral reef ecosystem. That's what I would put if it's me. just as a teacher, right? So answer that question for me. I'll write it down here for you. Whoa. All right, so I'm seeing discharge from ships, I'm seeing oil spills. Boat anchors can damage the coral, destroying reef when they dock. All right, what about the construction part? What about when they're trying to build? What about when they are actually trying to build these ports? I'm trying to get to the part on the syllabus about tourism so we can see if they give us any hints there. Yes, very good with the pollution, degrading the coastal ecosystem, poor fishing practices with nets. Hang on to that one about the poor fishing practices because that is the next part of the question that they gave us. Do you see, guys, how these things are connected? Are you actually seeing the connection in the question, in these little parts of the question, and why I put them together? Right? Do you see those in the question? The connections between those? Don't mind the blurriness of this page at the moment. I'm just trying to find the section for tourism so that we can try to see if we can kind of put it to, if we can get any hints from that. Okay? Yes, tourists swimming near coral reef might pull off or tear it. Yeah, but remember that they specifically pointed us to the cruise ship industry. That is what they were specific about in the topic that was released. So yes, they pointed us to that specifically. All right. So for tourism, it is number 21 on the syllabus. Tourism, environmental degradation relating to coral reef. Do you realize that this is exactly the thing that is on the syllabus, how they link together? You see what I'm saying? The connection there. And then now we have the pollution, we also have the destruction of mangroves. Yeah. So we can already see that this is what we can expect, or this is something that we can consider that we should definitely be paying attention to. So for the cruise ship industry, for example, they would destroy the mangroves in an effort to build these large shipping piers that they need and develop that area so that they can have a very big shipping port, right? Remember, it is specific to the cruise ship industry. We also know that the cruise ship industry can also cause destruction where coral reef is concerned. So based on your responses, I can see that as well. So they damage the reef when building ports, causing a lot loss of habitat. That's what Omari said. Good job, Omari. Building port destroys the coastline. That's common Winterberry. Good job. Tourists does break the coral off to take as souvenirs. Yes, you're correct. They do break it off. Destroying mangroves comes at the cost of habitat for fish. Yes, and we may even end up where we cause a lot of coastal flooding. We may cause coastal erosion to take place, and so on. So these are some of the things that we can specifically say. Now, that final part of the question, that final part of the topic, sorry, it said sustainable management of resources relating specifically to fisheries. Sustainable management of resources relating specifically to fisheries. So if you look at objective number 22, you would realize that they did mention that in that objective there. They mentioned that they have measures to ensure the sustainable management of resources, right? And then they spoke to regional measures. So what do they do as a region to manage resources relating to fisheries? What do they do on a national level? That's your country alone, relating to the management of resources relating to fisheries. What does your government do? What is it that your government does specifically to manage how fisheries, to make fisheries more sustainable in your country? Is it that they tell the fishermen that they cannot fish at a certain area? Do you have certain areas that are off limits for fishing? Do you have areas that are breeding grounds for fish? Those are ways that they're managing. Is it that there are fines for overfishing? If they catch them with a certain number of fish, they will fine them. Is it that they educate the population to say that don't catch this type of fish, allow them to grow a little bigger? Is it that they say that you can only catch a particular fish in a particular season? Now, all of those things that I'm telling you, those are ways to manage, to sustainably manage resources relating to fisheries. Yes, Omari, they can place seasons on when to fish. They have done that. So that is something that is done nationally. Very good. They have restrictions on overfishing and fishing in certain periods. Good. So they also have like what you call a lobster season. So they're giving the species some time to regenerate, banning of certain fishing methods to make sure that it is sustainable. Very good. Mad max. So that it does not harm the coral reef. Tell me some of those fishing practices that would have been very bad for the coral reef, very bad for the coral reef ecosystem in general. So yes, trawling. All right, very good. So Belize bans trawling. That is nationally good. Is there any country that you know of that has banned use of dynamite fishing? Is there any that you know that did that? All right, very good. Yes, the fish would have a chance to actually regroup. They have a chance to breed. So they would leave specific areas as well so that that's the breeding ground for the fish. Those are like your marine protected areas, marine park areas. Those protected areas, those are also sustainable management of the fisheries resource, right? um, so they can educate the population. Do not forget educating the population. That is one way that it can be done, regardless of what they ask you. One of the ways that you can manage things is by educating the population and fisheries management as well. Any questions relating to that? So basically, we have covered what you should expect on number 4 question. That's what you should expect on your number 4 question, which would have in the coral reef, your mangroves, your tourism, your sustainable management of resources relating to fisheries. And I've also given you some of the questions that I would put on the exam if I was the one setting the paper. So you can go ahead, answer those questions, use those in your revision, read that part of your textbook again, Read that part of your notebook again from what your teachers gave you. If your teacher gave you a PowerPoint, look over those PowerPoints again for those specific things so that it becomes a lot easier for you for tomorrow morning, right? Remember also that I keep dropping this in, so I don't want you to forget. The persons who are just joining, you may not have heard. Remember that you should study everything. What is listed here that CXC released may not be the only thing. They can very well put in other questions there as well. They can put in other questions there that would still come into these topics because they may overlap. Don't worry, Alistair. You can still watch the recording. I hope so. So they can still watch the recording to kind of pick up on where we are. All right, so we're gonna jump now to question number 3. Remember, guys, let me just say, this is just my personal take on what I believe would come based on how CSEC set this up, right? So this is just me talking as a teacher. You don't have to take what I say as gospel, but this is just, if it was me, this is how I would look at it. This is how I would set it up. This is what my questions would look like. Yeah. So we did number 4. So now we're going to do number 3. So number 3, my personal number 3 again, it has types of economic activities in the Caribbean. It has manufacturing sector in the Caribbean. While I go through this, tell me which industry manufacturing sector is really talking about. Tell me the name of the different industries, by the way, or tell me the name of the different sectors, by the way. Tell me the name of the different sectors so that we can just jump right into that. Hey, Deshaun, I just got your tag on IG. Thank you so much. Thank you. For those who don't know where to find me, you can find me on Instagram at natkin_educational_services, or you can find me at Geo with Miss G on Instagram as well. So, number 3 now, right? Types of economic activities in the Caribbean. So drop those for me and tell me what they are so that we can move on. I really want you guys to do well on your exams tomorrow. I would have loved to be doing this a lot earlier. I just really, really did not have the time. But we are here, so we're going to make use of it. All right? So let us just run through that a little. So we have primary industry. We have the secondary industry or secondary economic activities. And we also have our tertiary, right? So on the primary, very good. On the primary, I'm seeing Azalea Renee telling me that primary sector is the extraction of raw materials. Yes, good, very nice. Nehal telling me that tertiary provides services. Yes, very good. And let me see who's telling me about secondary. Somebody asking what's quaternary. Quaternary, you can find that in social studies, really, but in geography, it's not looked at that much. All right. Yes. So Andrew is telling me that secondary manufactures the raw materials into products. Very good. So you guys are on point. You sound like you're ready for your exam. Yes. So types of economic activities, you have already named them. So if again, let me rub out these questions that I have here. So if it was me and I am setting the paper, My first question to you would be to name, I'd probably ask you to name the economic activities. Name the different types of economic activities that can be found in the Caribbean. I would probably ask you that first of all, right? I may also ask you, to define one of them, or I may ask you to select one of them and give me some examples. I may ask you to do that. Or I may ask you to name the economic activities, and I may ask you to give me some countries or tell me an example of an economic activity. My brain is going very fast with the potential questions. So I could ask you to tell me the name of wait. Let me start over. Whoa. All right. So I may ask you to name the three types of economic activities, right? Then I may ask you to give me an example of each one. Yes? Then I may ask you, for the examples that you give me, name a country that has those economic activities. Yeah, that sound like it makes sense? I feel like I was talking a little fast, but I hope you got that. I hope you got that. If you got that, just let me know. Just tell me in the comments. Let me know if you got that, right? So, yes, so name of the economic activity, example of the economic activity, as well as country that I can find that economic activity. Yeah, it makes sense. All right. So first name Abraham says it makes sense. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right, good. So those are some of the things that I would ask if I am the one setting the paper. So right there, so now we would have covered number 6, where they're asking the types of economic activities. They can very well ask you to define these economic activities. They can ask you that too. So any of these can come up in types of economic activities for this for number 6 topic that they gave us right there. Next thing, for the second one now, manufacturing sector in the Caribbean. How they can do this as well? Let me write out the question, how exactly I would do it. So my number one, we talked about the number one already. Let me know if I should still write it. That's 1A of my question. Let me know if I should still write it. Yeah. Then let me say name economic activities. No, define. Define economic activities. That's 2 marks. That's 2 marks, right? Then part B now, I would probably tell you to name the types of economic activities and give me an example. Name the types of economic activities and give an example of each. So that is because it is 3 types and you're giving me an example of each type, then that would mean I would have 6 marks here. So let me know if you understand where I get the 6 marks from. That is kind of rush writing. That's why it looks like that. So what we say now, name the types of economic activities, give an example of each of them. So that is 6 marks. Out of that 25 marks, 8 marks would have gone already. Hi, Janoy Wholeness from Nakalva Tech. Lovely to have you. So letter, say I call that B1. Then now B2 now would have been, or maybe not B2, but yeah, say B2. Then I would say from I could probably ask you, hold on, let me think about it good. Yes, I could probably say from one of the sectors above, something like that. From one of the sectors above, explain something. I can't think of what yet. From one of the sectors above, explain explain one of the economic activities, something like that. Or give a country. Yeah, let me say give a country. So for one of the sector above, guys, are you hearing my dog? I hope not. For one of the sector above, um, state a country. State a country where this is found. Something like that. If I was doing it, that's what I would do. Right? Something like that. All right. And that would be, say, another 2 marks right there. Then now for my letter C, how much marks we gone already? 6, 10. 10 marks gone already, right? Yes, kind of like a case study. Good. Then now for my sections, for my letter C, I would ask about the manufacturing sector. I would ask to, because that is what it says here. My next question could be to describe or list 4 advantages or 3 advantages, whatever number they want to ask you. Or they could say, give 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages of the manufacturing sector, the presence of the manufacturing sector in the Caribbean, right? So give 2 advantages. I don't see anybody answering these questions anymore. What's happening? Advantages and 2 disadvantages of the manufacturing sector in the Caribbean. All right, good. I'm seeing Alia Hilton answering now. Good girl. Sector in the Caribbean. All right. And that now could be another 4 marks. I think that would be more than 4, but I'm just going to say that. 4 marks, right? So I'm seeing some responses. So creation of employment or provision of employment. I am seeing disadvantage that says not enough machinery, economic benefits, provide employment. Good job, guys. Provision of jobs. What about what it does to the environment? Remember, it is manufacturing industry. So tell me some of the negatives there. Then we have, I'm seeing Nahal with increased export. Kevin, lack of capital, very good. Terrell Higgins, more job opportunities and foreign income. Somebody said GDP before, good job. Omari, more job opportunities. Yes, Sanjay, building the economy, very good. Joanne, advantages, self-sufficiency by producing product, creation of employment, good. Yes, Akiria, one of the disadvantages contributing to pollution. Can you tell me what type of pollution? All right, so I'm seeing Mad Max saying it. Pollution from the smoke. So that is air pollution that is happening. Sometimes the manufacturing sector, they do not remove their waste properly. So you may have pollution of waterways as well. So that's water pollution is possible. Land pollution is possible from the manufacturing sector. air pollution is possible as well. So by now, with all of the ones that I read out, plus some of the ones that I did not get a chance to see, we would have had at least four advantages and four disadvantages. Tash Marie, you all right? All right, good. So air and water pollution when they dispose of oil in rivers and such. Very nice. Very good, guys. So again, for the persons who are just jumping on, let me just be clear. This is just my little, how I would set it if I am the one setting the paper based on these topics, right? So we would have done advantages and disadvantages that they said here, advantages and disadvantages. So now we would need to look at the last one, challenges faced by different industries. So it said challenges faced by different industries, which means they can give us any industry right there. So it said different industries. It never really said manufacturing sector, but still it is a point under manufacturing sector. So the possibility exists that they may simply ask you identify or describe two challenges faced by the manufacturing sector in the Caribbean, right? So they can ask you that. Describe two challenges faced by the manufacturing sector in the Caribbean. So drop those responses. Let me see them while I write it. Describe challenges. Yes, water pollution can work as a disadvantage, Terrell. Good. Describe challenges faced by different industries. They can also drop in any little question here. So they can ask you to define economic activities. They can ask you to name the economic activities. They can ask you to give examples of the economic activities. They can ask you to give the countries for the economic activities. Maybe they don't have to ask you about manufacturing alone. They can ask you about any industry that they want because they said economic activities as a general topic there. So it can be anything. But as I said, if I was the one that was setting it based on these topics, my question would look something like this. All right. So let me try to see some of the comments that you have there. For challenges. All right. Lack of machinery. All right. All right. Increased globalization. I figured that would have been for the question before. Lack of capital investment. Yes. Not enough resources to be mass producers or lack of raw material available. Good. Laborers not enough for them. So you mean limited persons to work in the industry. They don't have enough machinery. International competitors might be a problem. All right. Lack of skilled labor. Yes, that is another challenge that they have that is possible. There may be a high cost of producing the goods. There may be, we know that gas prices are up, so that can make the cost of producing the goods just simply too high. Um, they may not have market. Market is usually a problem that manufacturing industries face. They may not have the market to actually market these goods that they have here. Any questions? If you have any questions, drop them for me. Yes, there may be sanctions by the government and so on. If you have any questions relating to what we are potentially calling number 3 on the paper, if you have any questions, drop them for me. Again, guys, remember that tomorrow when you get the paper and you do the paper, let me know how it turns out. Let me know what the questions are because I won't get a chance to see it until I don't know, maybe Friday or so. Maybe Friday. So maybe Friday or so. So let me know what the paper is like when you actually get it. Just send me a message um, on Instagram or you can respond on YouTube. Okay? Yes, competition in the industry is another one. Very good. All right. Importation issues. Okay, all right. Or export issues. Yes, Sanjay, I'm going to save the video and I'm going to post it as well. Disadvantages, advantages. We mentioned those before, but let me just try to jump back into that. Nehal, who is that? Your person, just type back the question. I can't find it. So you said I didn't answer. Just type the question. Let me try to find it. So let's just do advantages and disadvantages of the industry again, because I just saw Nehal ask that. Advantages, it develops the economy. It increases the GDP for the country. It helps with job creation. All right, good job, Joanne. I see you typing some of those in the chat to assist Nehal. Um, Exportation of goods for foreign. It helps with foreign exchange in the country. Um, we said job creation already. I think so. Reduces spoilage of raw materials or allows the use of raw materials in the country to be turned into something else. So those are some of the advantages. Then we have the disadvantages now of the manufacturing industry. We said misuse of land, land pollution, depending on how the waste materials are disposed. Then we have improper disposal of garbage, land pollution, air pollution, high cost of producing the goods. Well, that's a challenge, not a disadvantage. Not having any market to sell to. Thank you, Sanjay. Very good. Old machinery. That is a challenge, not a disadvantage. Good job. All right, guys. So that would have been it for what we are calling our number 3 question. So we have number 4 and number 3 that we covered already. And you have some potential questions that you can look at. You would have had access to the syllabus that you can look at the objectives as well. So you can use the syllabus, the objectives on there as your questions and you answer those based on the based on the topics that CSEC has released. For the persons who are asking, fluvial processes, that's relating to water. So that would be about rivers. Rivers, well, any topic can come on the exam, but based on the topics that CSEC put out, it did not say rivers is coming. It did not say that, but as I said before, study everything. Also, the only part relating to rivers that would come on the exam is in map skills, which we looked at earlier in the live. So you can watch it after when I save it, right? Relating to drainage. And for the persons who do not know much about drainage or drainage patterns, there is already a video on the channel for drainage patterns. Just type in drainage patterns NatChen. I think it is in orange. I think the cover is in orange. You will find it and you can just watch it. It also shows you examples of maps that would show you each process so that it's kind of easier for you to pick up on the map when you get the paper. And we looked at the settlement, we looked at land use patterns already, so you can just rewatch it and then you will get the additional information. All right. So now we are at number two. Number two. If you have any questions, you can just drop them. I will try to respond to them as we go through. For the persons who joined late, let me explain what we're doing here. So towards your left, you would see number one, number two, number three, number four. We developed that based on some facts that we already know about the geography and the CSEC. We know that there are 4 questions on the paper. We know that you are doing all questions. You are supposed to do all questions on the paper. So there's nothing to choose from. There are some past papers, long time before things were updated, that would ask you to select your questions, but they don't have that anymore. You would just get the paper and you're required to do everything that is on the paper. Now we know that it is 4 questions. We know that it is based on the syllabus where we have 4 modules or 4 sections on the syllabus. So from those 4 sections, you would get 1 question each. So based on that, that is how I split up these release of topics so that we can see which ones would be joined together to give us a question from each section of the syllabus. I hope that makes sense to the persons that just joined. So I hope that makes sense to you. So that's where we're getting these number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 from. So far we have looked at number 4, we have looked at number 3, and you would have had your potential questions from those. We also looked at number 1. So the last one that we have to look at now is number 2, which has the coastal environment, coastal landform wave processes, and so on. So if you have any questions on what is potentially in number 2 so far, just drop them. Let me drink some water. I've been talking for a while. Yeah, so drop your questions and then I will just go through number 2 and then we can answer them, all right? All right. Number 2 is, I don't see any questions at all. I'm wondering if my thing is delayed. All right, good, good. Okay, okay. I left this question for last because I noticed that many persons were asking. It's about waves and about some of the coastal processes and so on. For weathering and erosion, physical and chemical weathering, last year I did a crash course based on the topics that CSEC had sent. So you can look at that. Hi, Naomi Singh from Guyana. Based on all of what is here, there is already something on the channel for it. So Even when I'm finished this live stream, you can just look at the geography playlist. There's a geography playlist. It has some paper two past papers that I went through already and I wrote on the answers and so on. So you can watch those. The playlist also has a map work crash, not map reading crash course that covers the entire map work section. It has that. So that crash course, I think it's like for 3 hours or so, you can watch that. Then we have a natural systems crash course. So everything is on it. We have a human systems crash course. Everything is on it as well. So everything that you need for geography is already on the channel. Trust me, right? This is my subject, and I believe that everything is covered on the channel. You just need to look for the geography playlist. So if you are on if like later in the evening, if you are on the channel and you cannot find something, just send me a question. I'll be paying attention to my phone. I'll be paying attention to your comments. You can send me a message on Instagram. You can send me a message, a comment on the channel so that I can find it and I can try to assist you. The only thing is that I wish that we could send voice notes on YouTube to respond. But if it's on IG, I can explain it to you in a voice note. All right. So you can send those as well. So you can find me at natken_educational_services on IG or Geo with Miss G on IG. If you're not on IG, we're also on Facebook. So you can find it, send a message so I can respond to you, or just ask the question on YouTube. All right. So let us go into coastal environment. I see your questions. Discuss erosional and depositional features. Are wave processes like constructive and destructive waves? Hi, Isabel from Trinidad. Would we be required to sketch or label a diagram? For instance, a wave cut platform or a barrier bar. It is very possible. CSEC likes you to use and display your knowledge. It's literally what you're being marked for, to display your knowledge. So if they give you a question that asks you to describe something or explain something, you can drop in a diagram to help with your explanation. If they give you a question that says, with the aid of a diagram, explain the formation of a stack, for example, then you would draw your diagram to show the formation of the stack and you would also explain it. A lot of persons make that kind of mistake where the question says with the aid of a diagram, explain something, and all they do is do the diagram but no explanation. You would have lost a lot of marks there. Okay? Hi, Sanjay from Guyana. All right, let us go. So I'm gonna let you look at the coast PowerPoint. I left this one for last because I figured it may take a little longer. So wait a minute. Yes, I've been hearing about the maths. Oh my God. Yes, you're right. Even if they didn't ask you for a diagram, you can still draw a diagram to help you with your explanation. Okay? So in this PowerPoint here, um, we're gonna look at waves, describe the characteristics of waves, explain the formation of waves, differentiate between constructive and destructive waves. We're also going to look at the different features that are created as a result of the different types of waves and so on. I've been hearing one person earlier said that maths was great. I don't know if they were joking, but one person said that maths was great. I really, really hope it was great for that one person and they were not joking. All right. So, what is a wave? Tash Marie, don't say that. This is my favorite subject right here. Let us try to help you to see how you can work out tomorrow, okay? Yeah, Omari, I think it was a joke. I think it was a joke when he said paper two was great today. Because everybody else said that it was terrible. So, or maybe that person is just amazing, okay? You see how Tash starts something where everybody's saying that they hate Geo? No, sir, this is not nice. This is not nice. Geography is awesome. Do you know what I'm going to do next year? The next school year, like September. September, I am going to start teaching the entire geography syllabus on YouTube. So I'm going to start from the first part. I'm going to try my best to go through every single part of the syllabus so somebody can just come on the channel, watch the videos, do the work that I post on the blog, and then they should be able to go and do their exam. I hope to do that next year so everybody can get the help that they need, okay? All right. Let us go to waves. When you hear the word waves, what comes to your mind? We're not going to teach this like class. That's going to take up a lot of time. Not going to teach it like class. So we're just kind of running through, but you can participate as we go along. So what comes to your mind when you hear the word geography? We have the wind. We know that there are wave. What comes to your mind when you hear wave? Sorry. We know that there's movement of water. Yeah, we know that. What is it that causes the water to move? It's the wind that is causing the water to move. Let us use an example. If you have never been to the beach before for whatever reason, and you have a bucket with water or even a cup with water, and you were to go to one side of the cup and you were to blow on the top of the water, you will see that the water is going to move. You will see that the water is moving. If you are blowing hard enough, you will see the ripples on the surface of the water. If you blow even harder, or if you drop something in the water, you will see that the water literally lifts up and move. Same thing is happening out in the ocean in the creation of waves, right? So that's where this definition of wave comes in. Long body of water curling into an arched form and it breaks on the shore. Doesn't always break on the shore, it can break elsewhere, but that's good. We just know what we're talking about, and that is fine. Hello, Kobe from Cornwall College. Nice to have you. So, let us talk about waves itself. There are different parts of a wave. We have the crest, the wave height, the trough, the wavelength, and the still water level, right? So you may be watching the news at times, the weather, for example, and they mention the wavelength or they mention the height of the waves. So they're asking fishermen to stay out of the water, things like that. This is what they're talking about. These are the things that they are really mentioning. So just by looking at the diagram here, we can already see what these things mean. There is my friend that does not like geography, Tash. And you know that's my name? Tash, Tash, Tash. If you were to look at this diagram here, you can just look at the labels and tell me what the things mean. So for example, we're seeing the crest. What part of it is it pointing to? Somebody already said it, Alistair Forbes. So crest is the top of the wave. That's the highest point. We can see that. Hello, Deshawn from Cornwall College. Why do I think I know Deshawn? And hi, Mad Max from Queen's College in Barbados. Nice to have you guys. So, yes, crest is the top of the wave. That's the highest point. Then now we're seeing the trough. So based on just looking at the picture alone, what would we define the trough as? Yes, Alistair, you are right. That is the bottom of the wave. That's the lowest point of the wave, right? So we know what crest is, we know what trough is. The still water level, we can see that that would have been, if we never had the wind that is moving on there, the water would be at that level. So we have our crest, we have our trough. Now we have our wave height. What is the wave height? Based on the picture that is there. And what is my wavelength? Based on the picture that is there. So you can just look at it and you can tell me the definition. So in your exam, if you remember this diagram, if they ask you to define any of these things, you can remember the diagram and then you can build your own definition based on what the diagram is looking like. So the wave height, Omari says the wave height is the height of the wave. All right, but I want something that is a little more specific. So I'm seeing Jonathan that says the wave height is the distance between the crest and the trough. Very good. Hi, Shaker. How tall the wave is. Very good. All right. Then now we have the wavelength. You guys are so smart. Why are you acting like you don't know? So Azalea Renee says the wavelength is the distance between the two crests. Or we can also say it's the distance between the two trough because we would have had a trough on the other side. Yeah? So based on that now, we already know what all the things mean and we know what all of the parts are. So we don't even need to look at this, which is telling us the definitions because we are so smart. We did this by ourselves already without looking at the definition. You guys should pat yourselves on the back. Good job. Very nice. So how exactly do I get my waves? How are my waves formed? Waves, as I mentioned before, if you were to be blowing on the top of the water that is in a cup, that water is going to move in the direction that you're blowing it in. Similarly, wind, whatever direction it is moving in, it is going to blow the water, and with enough strength of the wind, it is going to cause the water to move high enough until it gets to a maximum, it curls, and then it will eventually break. All right? So that is how the waves would come about. Now we have two types of waves, constructive and destructive. Just like the word says, that is describing what they actually do. Constructive waves, let's put in a little English language now. If you have constructive wave, what is the root word in that word constructive? And what is the root word in the word destructive? And what do they mean? I think this is a little delayed with your comments, but you can drop them in just the same. When they come in, I will still see if you are right or not. So constructive wave, my root word there would have been somebody did it. Good job, Omari. So it would have been construct. Very nice. So construct, what's my root word in destructive? Destruct. Very good. So construct means to All right. Construct means to build. So I am building up the beach. Thank you, Ethan. And then destructive waves, what are they doing? They are eroding the coastal environment. Thank you, Alistair. Good. So that is exactly what these two waves are doing. So based on that, no, we're not looking at nothing. We're not reading off nothing. We are going to use our brains. If I have a wave that is constructing the beach, it is building up the beach, it is taking material and leaving it on the beach, how do you think that kind of wave would react? Do you think it is a strong wave? Do you think it is a gentle wave? Do you think it is a tall wave? Do you think it is coming up very fast? Do you think it is, Mikhail says, violent, right? So, constructive wave, very good. It is gentle. It has a strong swash. For the persons who do not remember, the swash is when it comes up on the beach. The backwash is when it goes back into the beach. All right. So, yes, good job, guys. So, the constructive wave, it has a weak swash. No, it has a strong swash. I'm sorry. It has a strong swash. So it is bringing up a lot more material to the beach and it is leaving it there. It deposits a lot of material on the beach. The backwash is weak. That means it is taking away a small amount of materials from the beach. All right. So here we have it. Constructive waves build up the beach. Strong swash, weak backwash, relatively flat or gently sloping beach, long wavelength, small wave height, crest is over 20 meters apart, operate in calm weather, and they are less powerful than our destructive waves. Very good. Good job, guys. So based on the CSEC topics that were released, they ask us to look at wave processes, coastal landforms. What we're talking about now would have been general coastal environment as well. So let us just go right back to coast here. The destructive waves, they are taller. Basically, these are the opposites. They are opposites. So the destructive wave is the opposite of what the constructive wave is. Destructive wave is high. The length is short. You can picture it. I figure you may have seen it before. The energy is high. The beach gradient is very steep. You have that strong backwash that is taking away the materials from the beach. So if you have any questions, you can let me know. I see my friend Tash participating. That's very nice. Very good. So everybody is getting stuff correct. That means you are properly prepared for your exam tomorrow. I am so proud of you. Good job. So that's the difference between my constructive and my destructive waves. Yes. So this is just showing you what the pictures of the waves look like. So for the persons who are visual learners, they can just look at this for a second, memorize it, so you know what to write on your exam when you get there tomorrow. Coastal erosion and weathering. So look at this again. Let me hop back over to the topics. Remember when I told you that the topics, they are connected to each other. They are connected to each other. So the same way we're doing waves, we can tie it into weathering same way and tie it into erosion just the same. So you can have these waves that are causing chemical weathering. You can have waves along with other things that are causing physical weathering. So when you have the rocks, for example, that are being thrown at the cliff face and it is actually literally hitting the cliff and causing it to break away, then that would have been a part of our physical weathering that is taking place, where you have the chemicals in the water that are acting on the rocks, acting on the cliff face, and causing the chemical composition to change, that is the actual makeup of it to change, then it would come under chemical weathering. All right. So that's what I'm saying. They are connected. So the same way that CSEC put the topics there, they are connected, and you can also expect the questions to be connected. All right, Tash, let me see if we can help you with anything else for you to learn something else. Saudi, did we look at mangroves? Yeah, we looked at mangroves already, I believe. So you can just, when I post the live, you can just rewatch it to catch up on what we did before you joined. So for coastal erosion and weathering processes, so guys, this diagram here, so is, let me just go back over to the topics and show you something. So here are the topics. It says wave processes, weathering and erosion. So let me use a red marker because this is important. I feel like we've been dropping some gems here this afternoon. I feel like, remember, that tomorrow when your exam is finished, you have to tell me what you see, because I feel like some of these are just going to show right up on your exam. All right. So this part in red here, wave processes, erosion and deposition, and then weathering and erosion. Look at this diagram. Here is the diagram, right? Do you see that? Coastal erosion and weathering process. Do you see that? So, weathering, physical weathering, is taking place. Chemical weathering is also taking place. So I'm assuming that they would also want you to know the processes of weathering. So you have to know the weathering processes as well, so that if they ask you to explain, they may ask you to identify these erosion processes offshore. They may ask you to identify the processes of erosion. And there's an easy way to remember it. It is CASH. CASH. Processes of erosion. Who wants to tell me what those mean? Who wants to tell me what those mean? So you can remember that tomorrow. CASH. Those are my processes of erosion. What is my C for? What is my A for? What is my S for? And what is my H for? So they're on the picture as well. All right. So, all right. All right. All right. Very nice. So I have, hold on, them coming in very fast. Yeah, man. So know what I'm doing. Good, 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 good. So I have corrosion. Whoops. Let me erase that. Solution, and the writing is a little slow, but you know what I'm saying. Hydraulic action, right? So you can use that tomorrow to try to remember it. The acronym is CASH, right? So these are your processes of erosion. Now, It does not have to be in coast that they ask this. They say coast on the list, but they can also tie in coast. They can also tie in, erosion with weathering in rivers. They can tie that in if they want to, but based on the fact that it says coast, it is possible that they may do that. So if I was the one writing the paper based on the topics that they gave, I would have asked you to identify the processes of erosion, and I would ask you to explain each one. Probably the use of a diagram. So see a diagram here. Yeah? So if the question says, with the aid of a diagram, identify the processes of erosion, this is what you would do. Okay? If the question says, describe, they can ask you to name the processes of erosion. Then you can have a follow-up question after that that says, choose from the processes named above, choose one and explain it. They can ask you that as well, right? So there can be several questions coming from that little one area that they mentioned. So pay attention to this little diagram. In the event that they ask you for a diagram relating to coastal erosion, this can be a diagram that you use. So for the diagram, this is a cliff face. Where is Tash? This is a cliff face. Hi, Shaker. All right, good. So this is my cliff face. The entire drawing here is my cliff face. I want to ensure that you understand it. That is my cliff. So picture some trees up here and a little house. Yeah, that's the house, right? Picture some trees up here and a little house and a girl standing on the cliff. That is the cliff. Then I would have all of my processes taking place. So I can see hydraulic action taking place, where that is the sheer force of the water. It's just the water itself that is forcing its way into the cracks, and it is causing the rock itself to break apart because of the sheer force of the water that is entering into these cracks. That is my hydraulic action or my hydraulic pressure. Now my solution would be directly linked to chemical weathering. My solution would be directly linked to chemical weathering. So for chemical weathering, we know that chemical weathering is really referring to the fact that the process changes, something happens that changes the chemical composition or the chemical makeup of the rock, which now causes the rock to become weak, so it breaks down. That's what chemical weathering is. We know already that weathering is the breaking down of rock. That's what it is, full stop. Weathering is the breaking down of rock in situ, meaning in its original place, it no move. Chemical weathering is when the rock is being broken down, but how it is being broken down is chemically. How it is being broken down is when the chemical composition of the rock changes, right? So let me use a crackers example that I always use. For weathering, we know that it's the breaking down of rock. Let us think of it as a crackers that you eat in your whatever you eat it in. So if I am supposed to just take my crackers and bite it, or if I'm supposed to just take my crackers and hold it in my hand and just crush it up or break it into different pieces, that is my physical weathering. I am using something to physically separate my rock into smaller pieces. But my makeup of my rock remains the same. I don't change anything about the crackers except the size. All right, let me know if you're following me. And then now for chemical weathering, relating to my crackers, if I take my crackers now and I dip it in some tea, my crackers will become soft. So I would have been breaking down my crackers. It's the same weathering that is taking place, but what is different is that my chemical composition of my rock, no, my crackers, I mean, my chemical composition of my crackers would change. So that is what is now causing my crackers to break down because my crackers is now weak because I dip it in tea or because I dip it in porridge or whatever you want to dip your porridge. Whatever you want to dip your crackers in. Right? So that is the difference between the chemical weathering and the physical weathering. Now, don't bother go write about crackers on your exam. This is just for you to understand what I'm saying in a logical way so that you can know how to answer the question based on what they ask you. All right? Yeah, so that's what I mean. All right. So that is the chemical weathering and the physical weathering difference. Now, so the hydraulic action, back to that, that would have been breaking away my rock. Now, for solution, that is directly linked to my chemical weathering. So the salt that is in my rock, no, the salt that is in my water, in my ocean, can break down what is inside my rock, depending on my rock. The when me dip my crackers in a me tea, what? All right, yes. So that can be considered my chemical weathering. That's the solution where the chemical in the water is breaking down what I have in my rock, which causes my rock to become weaker. So therefore, my rock is going to break down. That's weathering. We can also have the rocks that are down here at the bottom of my cliff. These rocks can be thrown at the cliff face. So because it is now thrown at the cliff face, it actually creates cracks. So it is physically breaking down my rock. I can also have my rocks that are at the bottom of my cliff. They are scouring out the base of my cliff here. So they're scouring it so that it is smooth. All right. So that is how we can possibly link those two topics that CXC gave us. So that's the wave processes, erosion and deposition, as well as weathering and erosion. So we're going to just continue with the PowerPoint. Drop your questions if you have any. Let me know. Really, Tash Marie, you go shop and ask me to repeat? Kinda easy. You want some beaten. Well, I'm going to save it so you can watch it afterwards as well. Here. All right. So factors affecting coastal erosion. So they mentioned erosion. So factors affecting coastal erosion. We have rock type, the type of rock. The type of rock can determine how easily erosion takes place. The type of wave determines how easily erosion takes place. So if I have destructive waves, erosion is going to happen a whole lot faster than if I have constructive waves. rock structure, like how my rock is set up. That's what structure means, how it is set up. How my rock is set up will determine too the rate of erosion. So if my rock has hard rock at the front, then soft rock, then hard rock, then it is harder for my rock to be eroded because the hard rock is at the front. If I have hard rock beside soft rock, then beside hard rock, that means that the softer part is going to erode faster than the harder part. That's what rock structure really means. Then we have the shape of the coastline. The shape of the coastline also affects the rate of erosion, how fast an area is eroded. So if I have headlands, my headlands would have been way out in my water. So they're going to be the first that is going to be attacked by the waves. And if my headlands are way out, it means that my bay, that's the little section in between my two headlands. Let me just draw it for you real quick. Kind of like this. So this is my land. You can let me know if you understand. This is my land. And then this now is my beach out here. So that's my sand at my beach. And then I have water there. So, right? So these areas would have been the ones that are attacked first. These areas would have been the ones that are attacked first, especially based on what is called wave refraction. You would have done wave refraction in class. You would have done wave refraction in class. So, especially based on that, it would cause these areas to be eroded faster, while inside here now would have been protected. So you won't have so much destructive waves going in there. Instead, the destructive waves would mirror the shape of the coastline. So they would bend and attack these with the destructive waves. So by the waves should get in here now, it would not be so destructive anymore. It would be nice and calm and it would deposit the material there. So that's how we would get constructive wave in our nice little sheltered bay inside that area. All right, good. Any questions? When the Michael, I'm not so 100% sure. I see you say okay, so I'm thinking that means you understand the question that you were asking initially. All right. Um, let me see. All right, good, good. Seems we're up to speed. Okay, great. All right. So somebody mentioned concordant before. I'm not sure why, but we spoke about it in the diagram, I believe, in the diagram that I drew up there. Then they didn't say they're gonna do anything relating to coastal transportation, but we don't know. Transportation is by longshore drift along the coast, right? That's the movement of the materials along the coast. What is longshore drift? I don't think we have to look at that per se. Movement of the materials along the coast. That is what it is. We can look at a diagram. That is how the materials move along the coast in a right angle. So this is what it looks like on the beach, actually. If we were to, if you were to throw something out in the water, it would, if you're standing here, for example, that's you standing right there. with your hair on your head. If you were supposed to stand here and you throw something out in the water straight right there, so, and the wave is supposed to push it back up, it's not gonna push it up directly back to you. Let me use another color to try to show you. So it's not gonna push it up directly back to you. It is gonna move away from your location. Let me use the blue, right? So the wave will not push it up to you based on the wind. It would move it away from you. So like so, at an angle, right? And then now, when it washes back down, that's it. Then it come up at an angle, wash it back down, come up at an angle. If it was supposed to come straight back to you, it would mean that it just go down, go back, go down, go back, go down, go back. It would not move. It would not move across the beach, right? So the perfect thing for the longshore drift is that it is not moving just back and forth, but it is moving at an angle. That is exactly why the material is able to move up and down the beach. Let me know if you get it. Just say something. Let me know if you get that. All right. Good. Omari did this in his SBA. Nice work. So if you look at the picture itself, you can see it. Look there. You can see how the materials are moving. See that? So that would have been your longshore drift at work. Good. Him same get it. All right. Great. All right. Abigail, you can find me on Instagram and then you can send your questions if you want to. All right. How does the sea transport materials? They didn't ask us that really. Let me see on the topics. Yes. Yes, Michael. And yes, Azalea. You're correct. All right. They didn't really ask us that this one specifically, but this is how the materials are transported offshore, out in the water, not on the coast, right? So these are similar to what happens in rivers. That's similar to what happens in rivers, right? So offshore this, out in the water. But along the beach, it is longshore drift. Deposition. Did they ask us about deposition? Yes, they did. So deposition means to deposit. You're putting something down, and we know which wave does that the most. The one with the strong swash. That is the constructive wave. They help to create a lot of landforms. So they said that they are going to be asking about features formed as a result of the different things that as a result of the different works. So we have coastal erosion and we have deposition. So these are your features that are formed as a result of coastal erosion. It is now 7 o'clock, guys. I'm gonna give you until 7:30. We looked at majority of the topics already. Almost all of them, yes. So we are good to go. We're on track. We've been here for a while, while. All right, guys, sorry about that. I was muted for a little while. All right, so we're back at coast. These are the features of coastal erosion. Let me know if you can say or if you can choose any one of these and describe their formation. In my mind, they may ask you to, they may give you a drawing, and they may ask you to label the different features that are visible there. They may ask you to tell what the features are. They may ask you to describe the formation of any one of these features. They may ask you to describe the formation of a feature of coastal erosion as well as a feature of coastal deposition. They may ask you to do any of those things. I'm trying to find you again so I can see what your comments are. Just give me a second. All right. I'm not up to date with the comments at all, but I'm still trying. All right, I've found them. So I see never heard of blowholes before. Did money. All right. All right. Good, good. Yes, yes. So coastal erosion features. Yes, those are the coastal erosion features. I saw where Alistair posted some of the coastal deposition features. Yes, I'm going to look at those as well. For this diagram here, this is a pretty popular diagram because it captures all of the coastal features of erosion, right? All of them? Yes, all of them. It captures all of the coastal features of erosion. So because of that, it is a very popular image. So on your paper one, sometimes it asks you to name, it asks you to show the order in which they appear, the order in which they are formed, right? So this diagram can also assist you with that. So we have the blowhole, the headland. The headland would have been your cliff. The arc, which would have been as a result of two back-to-back caves. We have the cave itself and the stack and the stump. Okay, so we have those as a result of erosion. So it is showing us where the original shape of the headland is. So this was our original headland. Can see that. But as a result of erosion, we would have ended up with these features. So it starts off with the eroding of the cliff face. Let me just start over here. Eroding of the cliff face, you have the same erosion processes that we mentioned before, which would cause small lines of weakness in the headland. When it causes these lines of weakness, it's like you have a rip in your jeans. The minute you get a small rip in your jeans, by the next time you wash it, that is gonna get larger. And if you try to scrub it with something harder, it's going to get wider as well. Same thing is happening with the headland. Once you have those small lines of weakness that would be created by erosion, the water now has space to really seep through, to really get into those cracks and do even more damage with erosion. That's with chemical erosion as well as even physical erosion if rocks are being thrown at it and so on. Or if you have plants that are growing into the space and their roots are really breaking through it, that would have been physical erosion, physical biotic as well. So with that now, I would have a small opening in my cliff face, and with greater erosion and of course a lot more time, eventually my cracks will become wider. So sometimes my line of weakness extends upwards like this one here, and upon extending upward, it would create that opening where vertical erosion is taking place. And with vertical erosion, it means that it erodes basically long way. Let me call it that. It erodes long way. So it now opens up a passage in the cliff face. That passage that would have been opened up in the cliff face now allows, when we have high tide and strong destructive waves and so on, it would cause my water to flash up in here. It would cause my water to flash up in that area there that we're seeing. And if you're on land, if you're standing up here, while we have that is going on like a storm or something like that, the water can actually come over into that area. There is one that is in Montego Bay on the hip strip. If you're from Jamaica, if you are from Montego Bay specifically, then you would be able to see that one that is actually there. Okay? So that is what the blowhole is like. All right, good. I'm just checking your good job, guys. I'm checking your messages. Okay, so that is how the blowhole would have been formed. Let me know if you understand the formation of the blowhole in layman terms, because we're kind of trying to run through things. Let me know if you understand that. Then we would have had back to that little opening in my cliff face, where I have erosion that just caused that little crack. Once we have the little crack, then we would widen it by erosion. It takes nothing for erosion to just start digging away at something. Once you created that first little crack, that first little hole. So Let me go again. Let me go again. I'm seeing that some persons are saying that they do not understand. I was kind of rushing because I know that you would have done this at school. All right. Let us go again. Follow me, okay? So I have my cliff. Just this is my cliff. I have a piece of rock up here, so. I have a piece of rock up here, so. Now with my rock or with my cliff face then, I have my processes of erosion that I mentioned before. So hydraulic action is taking place. So my water is hitting on it constantly. When my water hits on it consistently, the water forces its way into any little crack that is there that begins to widen that area. So let us say I started off with this little dot. Upon starting off with this little dot, I have some rocks that are at the base of my cliff as well that are thrown at my cliff. So this little dot now, this little crack that I have with the other, this little crack that I have with the other processes of erosion acting on it will cause my crack to widen in different directions. But when it widens vertically, like long way, like it going up, just like this one and this one, it makes it easier for the rest of the erosion to take place vertically as well. So over time, with continuous erosion, I would have the entire area here becoming eroded. So much so that it leaves an opening on my surface there. So I can stand up. Olivia, my IG is natken underscore educational underscore services or Geo with Miss G, right? So at the top here, I would end up with an opening. So if I'm standing up here, so on the top of my cliff, I can literally look down in this hole. It's an open hole that you can look down in. If the tide is low, you can look down in it and see the sun down here, so. Right? If the tide is very high, sometimes the water flashes up through the hole, just like we're seeing here, and comes on the surface. Okay, so that is how my blowhole, that is how I would have gotten my blowhole. That is from the vertical erosion that occurs after processes of erosion act on my cliff face. Let me know if you're getting it now with the blowhole. For the next one, all right, I see yes, miss. Good, good, good. For the next one now, we can also have little cracks being created in my cliff face, not vertically, but it can be laterally. It can happen that way, or it can just be a dot or whatever. Yeah. So over time, remember that erosion takes a lot of time. Over time, more erosion would have taken place here, and it would continually erode inward. right? Now, when this continuously erode, I would get now some sort of a hole in my cliff face, like actual hole. Now, that hole, what do you call holes in rocks? You call them caves. So that cave that I now have is my other feature of coastal erosion. So far we have the blowhole and then we have our cave. From that, since it is a headland that is pushing out into the middle of the ocean, I have my water acting on this side of my cliff as well as over there, so on the other side of my cliff. Let me try to show you another image to make it a little clearer for you. Look at this image here. So let us say this is my headland. This is the one that I'm looking at. This is my headland out in the water. So this is my cave that has been formed right here, right? And then my cave can occur on both sides. So I have my waves hitting my cliff from here, wave hitting my cliff from here as well. So the same things that are being formed over this side are also being formed over this side. So say I have another sea cave over this side. See a sea cave there, so, and a sea cave there, so. Now two back-to-back sea caves. So one on this side and one on the other side. Two back-to-back sea caves would give me what is called an arch or arc, whatever we want to call it, right? So that is how I end up with my arc here. So it creates now an opening in my cliff face that, you've seen this in movies. Sometimes boat can go through it and so on. That is how I get my arc. That is from the two back-to-back sea caves. Let me know if you understand that one. Now, next one. When we have the bottom here that is removed and we have the arc, we end up with lines of weakness going all the way up. Because of the pressure, because the bottom is now empty, this area would actually fall down into the water. When that area falls down into the water, I have this one still standing. That is how I end up with a stack. Then, how do we move from the stack to the stump? We still have erosion taking place that is attacking the area that it can get to, the area that it can actually reach. Over time, with the continuous erosion, this is going to become smaller in this area here. And because of the weight that is on top, this part will break off. It will also fall in the water, and then I will end up with my stump. Lots of persons confuse stack and stump. Stack, just like it suggests, is when you're adding things on top of each other so it's taller. Stump now is the shorter version. All right, good. That is how we would have gotten those features of erosion. Now for the features, this is telling us how they are formed, but we basically looked at all of them already. I will just slow down here so you can take a screenshot if you would like to. All right, screenshot taken, I assume. So now we will look at features of deposition. We will just tell what they are. So we have the Bay, Spit, Bayhead Beach, Barrier Island, beach itself, Tombolo, Lagoon, and Salt Marsh. So those are our features of erosion. Again, guys, if you are looking for something specific that you want help with, remember that there is a geography playlist on the channel. Just actually click on the channel, look for the geography playlist, and you will see several different videos for several different things. You will see past papers, you will see map reading crash course, you will see natural systems crash course. Several different things are there, so you can look at those. You can look at some past paper twos that were done already. If that is what you're looking for, you can go ahead and look at that. These are our features of deposition. We can look at the diagram and then we can basically create our definitions based on that, right? So we are seeing our barrier island, Tombolo. From the Tombolo, you can clearly see that it is that spit that would have gone out and attached with with a smaller landmass that would have been an island, which would have given us the Tombolo. The barrier island, you can see that it is a parallel bar to the coast. Let me know if you have any questions about these specifically. Let me know if you have any questions. So this is what a bayhead beach looks like. We can actually see the headlands out in the water and we're seeing the bay. So what I was mentioning before is that this area inside, you would not get so much destructive waves as they would have been blocked from out at this section. So they're actually acting like a barrier there. Bars, we know what bars are. Those are our parallel deposits of sand parallel to the coast, but they become stabilized when vegetation goes on it. That's an actual example of what it would look like. Spits, these occur when you have a change in the shape of the coastline. So the sand deposits would attach to it and one side would have been hanging off freely. So for the salt marsh, that is an area that is behind the spit. That area behind the spit where the water is not moving in and out of it freely. So vegetation starts growing in it. So you would have or mangroves growing in this salt marsh area. So you don't have high waves going there. Yes, water does go there from the sea, but it is usually limited. So we call it a low energy zone. So you have deposit there, it turns into a little mud sometimes, and you have your mangroves in that area as well. Tombolo, we showed that one already where it is attaching to an island that is offshore. It's just a spit that connects to an island, a smaller island. That's an actual example of what it looks like. If you are from Jamaica, that is what the Palisades is, where our airport in Kingston is. It is actually on a tombolo. All right. That's why that road that goes to the airport floods sometimes when there is high tide, not high tide, but storm. All right, salt marsh. We spoke about salt marsh already. That's the low energy zone that is trapped behind the spit. And you will actually see the mud. Lagoon, that is our little protected area. Different marine organisms, because it is protected, different marine organisms actually use it as their breeding ground. Bar, that is the sand deposit that is extending across, parallel just the same. If you have any questions, let me know. Remember, we're just running through this. So that would take us to the end of that little coastal area relating to wave processes, erosion, and depositional features. So we would have looked at covered coastal environment, coastal landforms, erosional and depositional features, wave processes relating to erosion and deposition, and physical and chemical weathering relating to coast. So if you have any questions, let me know. And based on that, we would have covered all of the topics that CSEC has said they're going to send. So if you want to look at map work, there is a map skills crash course that you can watch. If you want to look at coast, if you want to look at something relating to what I have as question number 2, there is a natural systems question that you can watch. If you want to, there's a natural systems crash course that you can watch. It's on the system as well, on the channel as well. If you want to look at what we have as what we call our number 3, you can look at the human systems crash course that is on the channel as well. If you want to look at a paper 2 or something like that, past paper, it is also there. You can look at those as well. All right. So let me know if you have any questions before we go. Yes, I'm going to post the live. You are welcome, guys. You are welcome. Which document do you want to access? I already told you how to find the syllabus. It is there. The topics that were released by CSEC, it's online as well. So all of this information is online. Yes, I will post the live after. Which one of the document are you asking about? You are welcome. You're very welcome. If you're asking about something specific, you have to tell me because I'm not sure. When you ask where can I find this, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. Yes, it gets uploaded when it ends. Yes, we looked at economic activities, so you can rewatch it. A geyser is not a blowhole. Geysers are related to volcanic activity. You're welcome, Alistair. How should you answer questions? I did that already. There's another thing on the channel about how you should actually approach the exam. So I literally broke it down according to the different minutes. that you would need to use for each question. That is also on the geography playlist. If you want me to find the geography playlist and drop the link in the chat, I will do that. Just let me know. For paper one, yes, I'll do a live for paper one as well. Yes, I will do a live for paper one as well. I'll try to do more than one to help to prepare you for your exam. Or you want my PowerPoint? Ah, um, um, okay. I will post the PowerPoint on my blog in as soon as I finish with you guys, I will post the PowerPoint on my blog. So I am going to put the link for the blog in the chat. It is Natken. Oh, you go. I don't remember. Natken Education at blogspot.com, something like that. So that is the link to the blogs. I will post it there, and you can get the notes from that. That's on the blog, right? As soon as I finish with you guys, I'll post it there. I'm trying to go through the comments really quickly. How to answer the structured questions. I did that too. That is on the playlist. Yes, there is a playlist. All right, let me find the playlist and then I will just drop it in the chat for you. Just click on, let me show you how to find it. So since we are still up and running, let me go to, so you would have been on the stream right now. So just click on that right there. I have not sent the link to the blog as yet. I'm going to. I was just trying to go through your comments. So once you click on the Natken sign, by the way, do not forget to click the subscribe sign as well. So subscribe to the channel. If you really enjoyed the live, just subscribe to the channel. So when I am doing the other lives for paper 2, you can get the notification that we are going live, right? So look at right there, you would see playlist. Click on playlist. And see it right there. CSEC Geography, Past Paper, Map Skills, live streams, all there. All of it is there. So for map skills, compass points, grid reference, compass direction, cross section, angular bearing, contour lines, and so on. For the live streams, there are map reading crash course, human geography, paper 1 explanation, physical geography crash course, part 1 and part 2, lots and lots and lots of stuff. What to expect on your geography exam. So this now will break it down for you exactly. This will break down for you exactly how you should approach your paper. All right. So let me know if you got the, if you know now how to get to the playlist. Um, for the person that cannot access the syllabus, just type it in Google, CSEC Geography Syllabus, and you will find it. It's right there and easy for you to download. Okay, what else? No jerk pork. I do not go to Faith Temple. All right. Um, yes, I will post the notes on the blog. All right. I should tell you what the blog is. Good. That's the last comment I'm seeing. So the blog is natkeneducation.blogspot.com. So yes. All right. So I just posted the link to the blog. Let me try to show it to you here as well. There you go. And it has a whole bunch of stuff, guys. So you can also look at the other stuff. But I will post the PowerPoint that we just used, the one for Coast. I will post it there. So you can go on the blog and then you will be able to find it. All right. So any other questions before we go? Yes, Tash Marie, thank you. Everyone, please subscribe. Miss Deserve It. I agree. Thank you. Yes, do subscribe to the channel, guys, so that you can help me out. Yes, I am from Jamaica. I just showed how to get to the blog, so maybe these are coming in late. I just typed the link in the chat. All right. Let me know if you have any other questions. We're going to go. And thank you for joining, guys. I really hope that tomorrow you will do really, really well on your exams. Remember to let me know how the exam went. So the questions that I suggested that might potentially come on the exam, let me know what the questions are like when you come out. Just send me a message or send me something on IG, or you can tag me in your screenshots or tag me in your videos. Thank you, K Money, for subscribing. Angelina, I will save it and post it so you can rewatch it when I'm finished, okay? I'm also going to put the PowerPoint on the blog so that you can look at it as well and get some notes. All right, guys? Have a wonderful evening. I'm trying to see if this is a little late to see if any questions coming in, but I don't see any questions. So that means we're all good to go. Yes, Omar, you're getting only grade ones tomorrow. Hi, Bashira from Guyana. Tash Marie still need a text. All right. Tash Marie, follow my IG, okay? And we will do some more for the paper ones after tomorrow. All right, guys? Have a good evening. Hi, Jaden from St. Lucia. Hi, Staffy from Guyana. All right, bye now. Bye bye. Taffy, you can watch it after I post it, okay? And you can send a message if you need to. Once I post it on the blog, it will be the featured post. So once you log on, that's the first thing you will see. Okay?